Hello and welcome to our Advent wreath making session. I hope many of you are joining us at home and are excited to make this wreath with me. I am Heidi Anderson. I am a member of the vestry here at Christ in St. Luke's as junior warden, and I also very much enjoy being a member of the Flower Guild, where we get to bring beautiful greenery and flowers to this space throughout the year. I also have with me today a dear friend of mine, Aisling O'Neill.
Hello.
Who's going to be making wreaths with us today. And so as I go through and start to show you what to do, I'm counting on Ash to question me so she can ask all the questions that you might have asked if we were here in a space together. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. There is a list of supplies that is in the link there on the page, but just so you know what you need, we are using it's called an Oasis wreath form. And if you don't have one of these, that's quite all right. You can also just arrange greenery on your plate if you'd like. Those of you who do have this, make sure that you've soaked it in water. Usually you can just fill up your kitchen sink, put the stopper in, fill it up, and leave it in there for a couple of minutes till you see all the bubbles go away, and you should be good to go. Now throughout the season, because this is going to be 4 weeks that we're going to do this, make sure that you continue to water that to keep your greens fresh. Okay, so the next thing we're going to need is some greenery. I have here just greenery from my yard. I gathered pittosporum, I gathered some holly that I had, and I also had a juniper, and so I pulled some greenery off that. Any kind of evergreen will do. Once again, if you don't have any evergreens in your yard, you can also do faux greenery. You can head to your local thrift store. I mean, not thrift store, but your craft store. Of course, you can't do that right now. But you should hopefully have some greenery with you that we can make our wreath with. The other thing you're going to need are some candles. I do have the candles here that have the 3 purple and 1 pink. If you don't have those, that's fine. You can also just use white candles or candles you have around the house. If you have white candles, you can also tie the colored ribbon on, and we'll talk about what the colors mean in a little bit. The last thing that I have here is my handy aluminum foil, and I have just taken a strip of that and cut it into 4 squares. You can buy candle holders to go in your wreath, but I just thought I'd make it nice and easy. I'm just going to wrap my candles when we get to that in foil just to make sure the wick doesn't get wet, since this is a wet wreath. Okay? All right. So without further ado, we're going to get going. I do have some clippers here. If you don't have garden shears or clippers, you can use some really sturdy scissors if you want. So Ash should have a pair of Cutco scissors, so those work really well too. So what I'm going to do, you can either choose to make your wreath out of all of the same greenery, or you can mix greenery. And we're going to mix ours today, Ash, so let's go ahead and get started. What you're going to want to do is cut pieces that are maybe about the size of your hand. You want them to be smallish pieces. So if you have a longer bough from your bush, it's much easier if you just kind of pull that off and make different sections of that. And then the next thing you're going to want to do, this might get a little messy, okay? You're going to want to clear off the end so you make about an inch and a half long piece that's going to be able to stick into your floral foam, okay? So hopefully you can see that. A lot of times people like to cut things at an angle, but however it works for you is just fine. So I like to cut and place as I go, okay? Yeah. Sometimes people like to get everything ready and then put it in the wreath, but what I'm going to say is go ahead and cut. And the secret here is, you're going to want to really, the goal is to cover the foam so you don't see the foam. This is just sort of our form that's going to hold this. And what you're going to want to do is kind of get it to go all in the same direction. So you'll see here, I'm not sure if you can see, I've already gotten 3 pieces, and I'm kind of forming them and letting them go in the same direction. Does that make sense, Ash?
Yep, it does, Heidi.
Okay. So it's going to take us, a little bit of time just to fill this up. So hopefully you're filling it up with me. And hopefully your wreath is nice and soaked. If it's not soaked yet, feel free to go soak it, and you can just see what we're doing here. So we're going to be filling in. Now what I'm going to do And if you want to do the same, you can, or you can go your way. I'm going to do a bottom layer of this juniper that I have. And then I'm going to fill in with some of my other greenery. If you want, also I mentioned I have my very, very dirty gardening gloves. I do spend a lot of time outside, so you might need those if you don't want your hands to get sticky with sap or get poked by the holly. But I just get in there and get messy. So this tradition of the Advent wreath has been one that has gone on for many, many years. Some date it back to Germany, to a German priest who created one of these during the holiday season. Many people also say it goes back to the Middle Ages. But the evergreens symbolize continuous life, and the circle itself is also supposed to represent eternal life. And of course, the word Advent actually comes from, the root word comes from the meaning of coming or arrival. So, for me, I love having traditions like this and different rituals. Rituals are really important for us as a people, just because in times of uncertainty, it's ritual that helps bring us comfort and helps us kind of calm ourselves. And we all have different rituals that we've probably grown up doing. And Ash, I was kind of curious, what kind of rituals did you have growing up, or traditions?
So I will say this is my first time making an Advent wreath, so thank you for bringing me into this new tradition.
I'm so glad you joined me.
I grew up in Ireland, so we had a lot of the same traditions that there are here. We had nativity scene at the church. We had a choir singing over the Christmas period. One of my favorite things growing up, and I think this is very specific to Ireland, is we would get the gift of a selection box. So what that would be is pretty much our favorite candy bars, or chocolate bars as we call them in Ireland. And you would get one of those every Christmas from Santa, and it would be up to you to ration it for yourself. You could eat it all in the one day, you could eat it over the course of the week, but it was a great tradition, and one that my mom kept up years after we were no longer children. Nice. And continued to send them to us overseas.
Oh, I love that.
So that's one of my favorite memories of Christmas.
So what was your favorite candy bar?
There's one in Ireland called a double-decker, that is crunchies on the inside with nugget and covered in chocolate, and it's just yummy.
Sounds like the Advent calendar, which is one of my kids' favorites. Every day, obviously, they go and open up the little door for which day it is, and of course, it's so small, and I have 3 kids. So there's a tiny Hershey Kiss in, so not quite a full-size candy bar. Yeah. So, all right, so as you can see here, I'm my wreath is growing. So the form was very small, right? It didn't look like it was gonna be much. But as I add this greenery, it's getting a little bit bigger. And so I just keep going. You just kind of eyeball it. To me, it's sort of an art. Like I said, clearing off the bottom there to make a little spoke or stick to be able to go in the bottom. And then I go back and look and see if there's any spots that I missed. And if so, I just go and fill them in. How are you doing over there, Ash?
Probably not as pretty as yours, but I'm almost all the way around.
Awesome. Yeah, and so many of you, like Ash said, this is her first time making an Advent wreath. It really is super simple and easy, and you can't mess it up. So maybe you don't get it going in the same direction. It'll be okay. As long as you just kind of get your form covered, you'll be just fine. And I love the freedom with this to sort of design as I go. So, maybe something I do, you think, oh, I'll do it a little differently. Make it uniquely yours. That's what I like about this. All right, so I've gotten my bottom layer done. Now, if you like having all one green, if you just have one green, you can just keep finishing it up and just cover the entire thing with the same greenery. You know, like I said, you just want to make sure you're covering that up. I think I'm going to use several other things as well, just to kind of see. There's no guarantees on how this is going to turn out. We're just going to see what happens. So I'm going to move into, I have some holly here, which you have to be careful because that has prickly leaves. And once again, I trimmed it, so it's kind of a small little piece, no bigger than my hand. And then I'm just pulling off the edges, so I have a nice little spot that I can sit into my oasis wreath. I'm just going to kind of come in and pop some of that in, see how that does. So one of my favorite traditions growing up was the Christmas tree, in fact. Like, I love decorating our Christmas tree. In fact, we just put up our tree yesterday and started decorating for Christmas. So I always wanted to get our tree really early, and we always waited till Christmas Eve. So we would go on Christmas Eve and get our tree. And I was always so anxious and so ready for it. But it was a lot of fun, and definitely we had a lot of anticipation waiting until Christmas Eve. And the nice thing of, you know, if you are going to have a Christmas tree this year and you don't have your greens yet and you're doing this a little later, maybe you're not doing it live with us, but a little later, there's usually lots of extra Christmas, like Christmas boughs, like evergreen boughs, or if they trim the bottom of your tree, if you do a live tree, you can use some of those pieces of greenery, of evergreen, to make your wreath as well. Oh.
Speaking of Christmas trees, there was that was another tradition in Ireland, that you would put up your Christmas tree on the 8th of December, so the Feast of the Assumption, and then you would leave it up until the Feast of the Epiphany on January 6th, which we also called Little Christmas.
Little Christmas was January 6th?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Or, you know, Christmas for women's Christmas, right? Because the women had been looking after the house and the family through the Christmas period, and this was their opportunity to celebrate.
Or take a break and enjoy the good work they had done.
Yes.
Relax. So everybody put it up on December 8th. That's interesting.
No, well, it was, I think it was more of, you shouldn't put it up before December 8th.
Okay.
That's when the Christmas season officially began.
Technically began.
Yeah.
And of course here I feel like the day after Thanksgiving, Christmas is officially allowed to start.
So for those pieces, Heidi, are you putting those in the sides as well, or those on the top?
So this is the holly with the red berries, and it's a little bit darker of a green. So I am actually still putting it a little bit, because I had a little bit more room.
Okay.
So I'm putting it kind of close to the top of the side. But if you've already filled up your side, you can start putting those on the top.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I have a wee bit open here.
And what we might find, like once I get this done, I might need to go back and put some of the juniper on the inside too.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm just kind of seeing how it goes. Well, speaking of timing and dates of things, Advent does begin on, well, tomorrow actually will be the first candle that we light. So that's why we're, you know, just in time getting this done today. And then you light one candle each week of Advent until Christmas Day. Now we'll be getting to the candles once we finish adding all our greens to this. But the candles do have colors and have specific meanings as well. There's 3 purple candles and 1 pink in a traditional Advent wreath. And I read different things with you know, what they mean, and it's very similar. But the purple ones typically represent penance, or just sort of getting ourselves ready, having that awareness and humility of examining ourselves. And then some places I've read go more specific, you know, saying that the first candle that you light is the candle of expectation.
Okay.
Which I thought was really lovely, that that anticipation of something good coming. I'm quite the anticipator, so that resonates with me.
Yes, you are.
The second candle representing hope, you know, a hope of something good coming. The third one is the pink one, so that's the one that the pink one is lit the third week, and that one is to represent joy, the joy of Christmas. And then the last one is said to represent peace or purity. So I love thinking about that as you light your candle each week. You can look up online different things for the meaning of Advent, the meaning of the candles, different things that you can do as you light the candle, you know, prayers that you can say, or you know, meditations to think through and read. And then some people, not all do, but some people like to have a white candle for the center. And so some people put the white candle in the center and light that one either on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day to actually represent Christ and his birth. And this candle is from IKEA, in case you're wondering, and the one I got for Ash is from the dollar store. So all kinds of places you can get your candles if you don't have them already. All right, so I'm starting to fill in, and I'm doing pretty good, seeing my sides. How are you doing over there, Ash?
Yeah, I've started to fill in the top too.
Okay. And so on the top, I was going to use, I have a plant called Pittosporum, and it's a bush that a lot of times people have as shrubbery in their yard. And I actually really love it, if I can find it. Here it is. When you clip the tops of them, I know, it's so pretty to me. It kind of looks a little like a flower, like a little floret. So sometimes I like to take those and use those as little accents on the top there. I love the variegated leaf also. I know some people have preferences, do or don't like those variegated leaves. And like I said, I just want to reiterate, have artistic license. Don't think, I can't do this or there's a right or wrong way. Really, it's just covering up that oasis form, making it work for you. If you stick something in and you don't like the way it looks, then just pull it out and stick it in another way. So you've got all kinds of freedom as you arrange this. I think I like the idea of having the Advent wreath, in the home, just because I think each week it helps us create, a structure and like a time frame. And to me, that's always been something that's been important in my life. Just sort of marking time and being mindful.
All right, so because this is my first time and I want to make sure I don't mess it up too much, Heidi. So how much room do we need to leave in the oasis for the candles?
Well, you will need enough to stick the candle into the oasis, but you probably won't fill it up enough that there's not space, and so what you'll do is just sort of like finagle it through, and there'll be a spot down there for it. Good question.
Right, and I guess after you put in the candles too, you can, add or take away greenery if it's not looking.
Yeah, if you see a bare spot or something that doesn't look right, you can, fill in, or you can take out if you need some more room. And just once again, notice how, I'm just clearing off the bottom just to make room, just to fill up that wreath. Okay, so how you doing?
I think I'm ready for some candles.
Okay, you ready for some candles? Okay, we've got the greenery covered. And like I said, you can always eyeball it and see if you've got spots that you've missed. So now we're going to take our candles. And like I said, just because I'm just going to be extra sure that my wick doesn't absorb any water, I'm just going to take a little square of foil and wrap it around it. These are our makeshift candle holders.
Right.
So then you're just going to place them in evenly around the circle. So
like a north, south, east, west?
Sure, yep. So find a spot and just pop them in. If you have Oasis, it'll do a great job holding those. And so you'll think about as you're lighting it, you'll do two purple, a pink, and then a purple, but it won't really matter in the end. Now when you stick the candle in, it is going to make a bigger hole in your in your Oasis. So kind of be sure where you want it, just so you don't have big gaping holes. Okay, I'm just moving my greenery aside. Sticking in that candle. Okay, and here goes my last one. If you have kids at home, this can be something that you do at dinner time, helping them, guiding them to help them guide the light as they're lighting it. Obviously, always be careful with fire and children and yourself, all adults. And yet, see, if you look at it and think, oh, I've missed some, or I need a little more greenery, you can just clip another piece and cover wherever you might have missed. And then if you want to add the white candle, you can add that in there. And voila, we have our Advent wreath here. How's yours look?
I almost feel creative, so thank you,
You are
Heidi.
creative. Everyone is creative.
It doesn't look too shabby at all.
Yeah,
and that was
great.
easy.
Good.
Yeah.
Say it again.
That was easy.
See, it's easy. It's not that hard. I told a lot of people I was doing this, and they'd be like, "Oh, I can't do this. I've never done it. I don't do flowers." So take it from Ash. She never did this before either, and it was very easy. So one last note: I did put mine on a round platter or plate. It makes it easy to transport. And then also you're going to want to make sure you keep it watered. And since sometimes when you fill it up with greenery, you can't quite see where the Oasis is. So that'll be an easy way that when you water it, you're not leaking all over your table or wherever you choose to put your wreath. So, all right, great. Any questions about this? Any other?
No. How often should it be watered? Like once a week?
That could work depending on when you soaked it, making sure you got it all soaked through. Sometimes what I do, I just kind of stick my finger in and make sure it feels damp. If it doesn't feel damp, I water it.
Okay.
Or if you notice something's going brown, make sure it's moist enough. And remember, you can always pull something old out and clip something fresh to stick it right back in.
And this might sound like a silly question, but would you just simply take a jug of water and just start pouring over?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. You can take a glass, or I have a little small watering pitcher, and I just would fill it up. These have a plastic bottom. Sometimes with Oasis, you can just pour into the dish and it'll soak it up. But since it has a plastic bottom, you're going to want to do it from the top.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Hopefully you at home were able to make your Advent wreath as well, and you can enjoy this wonderful tradition in your own home and mark the time of Advent. And like I said, tomorrow is the first day, so you'll light your first candle the first week of Advent. So thanks so much, everybody.